Welcome to DaAi Headlines. I'm Wendy Chen. Thank you for joining us. Coming up in today's show, city volunteers are helping quake victims of Brawley in California of the United States by handing out cash cards. Beginning today, we start a new series of feature report Insect Invasion to learn the effects global warming has on our ecosystems. And we meet train driver Ong Xin Zhao, the third generation in his family to work for the Alishan Forest Railway in Jiayi, Taiwan. We kick off today's program in the United States. A major earthquake occurred in Brawley of Southern California at the end of August. Over the following week, continual aftershocks hit the area, damaging 19 houses, with the mayor declaring a state of emergency. San Diego and Los Angeles city volunteers later paid a visit to the disaster area and distributed cash cards to help residents rebuild their homes.
A recent earthquake in Brawley of California resulted in continual aftershocks throughout the week that damaged many buildings and left 19 houses unsafe.
And many of these homes have fallen off of their structures and experienced damage as a result of that.
The city of Brawley is located in Southern California. Recently, one of the most serious earthquakes in 30 years hit the area, followed by a series of aftershocks. San Diego and Los Angeles city volunteers arrived soon after to bring care to local residents.
You can see some of the repairs are taking place, trying to get back to normal again. And, hopefully we'll see this result pretty soon, and we'll provide services to those who need them.
In addition to distributing cash cards, city volunteers also encourage residents to donate money and make a wish to rebuild their homes with peace and blessings.
To celebrate the 7th lunar month, for the past 2 days, city volunteers have been holding auspicious month celebrations at the Chiang Kai-shek Memorial Hall. The volunteers played the animated film of Venerable Jianzhen and put on sign language performances. To make the animated film, DaAi TV and its animation team spent almost 5 years and finally completed the movie in 2010. DaAi TV hopes the film can encourage its audience to have a never say quit attitude.
To bring Buddhism to Japan more than 1,200 years ago, two monks, Rong Rui and Pu Zhao, traveled all the way to China from Japan to find high-level monks.
从洛阳、长安到扬州，终于见到了大和尚。
After 10 years of seeking, the two finally found Venerable Jianzhen, who was touched by the sincerity of the Japanese monks. Since none of his disciples wanted to travel to Japan, the monk himself later decided to go in person. In 743 AD, Venerable Jianzhen tried 5 times to get to Japan. However, he was faced with many difficulties. He was falsely accused by officials as having connections with pirates. He spoke saying his disciple passed away, and much more.
老衲发愿要到日本国弘法。
Venerable Jianzhen even later lost his vision, yet he never gave up on his mission to spread Buddhism in Japan. After 11 years of trying, the monk finally arrived in Japan. At that moment, he was already 66 years old.
日夜忘れず、今大徳。
What the master is doing is work for Buddhism and for all living beings. When we do everything, are we following the wish of our parents and the master? After watching the movie, I kept having those kind of thoughts.
We hope to inspire more people to work on the Tzu Chi path, and we should carry on this mission. I think the strength and reminders from Master Zheng Yan helped the whole team, and I finished this film.
Over a period of nearly 5 years, DaAi TV and its 3D animation team finally completed the movie. It is hoped that the film can inspire more people to follow Venerable Jianzhen's footsteps and develop a never say quit attitude.
In Taiwan's Chiang Kai-shek Memorial Hall, Tzu Chi has set up an exhibition to inform the public about the right beliefs of the 7th lunar month. From September 1st to the 3rd, the exhibition attracted people from all walks of life, including Tzu Chi volunteers from China and previous members of the Tzu Chi Teachers Association. Volunteers not only want to spread Tzu Chi's philosophy, but also to demonstrate the friendliness and warmth of Taiwan's people. We have arrived with Sister Cho because the Suzhou Jingsi Hall is soon to open.
Xie Yuzhen and her husband traveled to China's Shandong for work. Now that they are retired, they have stayed in Shandong to continue their life's mission.
We're holding this exhibition at Chiang Kai-shek Memorial Hall to inform people of the right beliefs, and we hope others will join us in doing good deeds.
China's volunteers are visiting Taiwan, and of course, don't miss the chance to visit CKS Memorial Hall.
When he brings his sign over here, your gratefulness will connect with his joy, and he will return. Then it is your turn to lead the group.
Every day, there are at least 20 volunteers on site to guide and provide information for the public.
This exhibition is very important because we want to inform the public of right beliefs. Many are superstitious and we want to change that.
Changing beliefs and also learning about filial piety, this shaman youngster, seeing the bamboo coin bank is like the one at home, decides to donate the money he was going to buy a beverage with. Lin Binghui brought his camera to capture the beauty of Tzu Chi. Once a patient at Taipei Tzu Chi Hospital, he is very familiar with Tzu Chi volunteers.
It's very comforting to know that Taiwan has such an organization. It's the pride of Taiwan.
Hu Shoulan, once a Tzu Chi Teachers Association member, wanted to visit the exhibition, even if she has a hard time getting around. Zhang Yanzhu, an active Tzu Chi Teachers Association member, immediately started chatting with her, cheering Hu up just like old friends.
I don't give up. Whenever I meet people, I try to spread Tzu Chi's philosophy.
The more people that get to know us and concur with us, the more likely they will join our ranks.
All volunteers hope by holding this exhibition, more people will be informed about Taiwan's Tzu Chi.
In Hong Kong, the 7th lunar month is called Yulabana, or the Ghost Festival. People in Hong Kong will burn joss paper and hold a prayer ceremony to mark the festival. In fact, the origin of Yulabana is from the classic Buddhist tale of Mulan saves his mother, which promotes filial piety. Therefore, the 7th lunar month, from a Buddhist perspective, is a month of filial piety and auspiciousness. To promote the right beliefs, Hong Kong Tzu Chi volunteers held a blessing ceremony at DaAi Recycling Station to encourage residents to live an eco-friendly lifestyle.
At DaAi Recycling Station of Hong Kong, visitors are all attracted by the thriving plants on premises.
These plants used to be withered, but for the past 6 months, we have used eco-friendly fertilizer to restore them. Now they are flourishing.
Recycling helps the environment, while vegetarianism improves personal health. Ziqing Ling Yisheng has tried for a long time to convince her parents to adopt vegetarianism.
Before, my dad didn't let me eat vegetarian meals. However, after he found that I became healthier after I adopted vegetarianism, he gave in. He even cooks vegetarian meals for me and eats with me.
7-year-old Wang Xiaoqi does not like vegetables and beans, but surprisingly, this time she eats them all.
I was a little worried that she wouldn't eat them all, but she said the meal here was delicious. She even asked me to cook the same meals at home.
During the 7th lunar month, Hong Kong Tzu Chi volunteers held a blessing ceremony at DaAi Recycling Station to pass on the right message and teach the public right ways of living.
Beginning today, we start a new series of feature reports, Insect Invasion, where we take a look at some of the more indirect yet equally serious effects of global warming. While global warming's effect on the polar caps is well documented, less known is how global warming is changing ecosystems and the species that live in them. Although these changes are often invisible to the average city dweller, their ramification for the future of our planet is profound. In one example, higher average temperatures has resulted in the faster reproduction and growth of some of Taiwan's worst pests that cost farmers millions of dollars each year in crop losses and pesticide bills. This, many scientists say, is only the tip of the iceberg. Here's more.
Global warming has had an impact on our Earth's ecology. Although invisible to the eye, through experiments, scientists have shown how these changes are already taking place.
In the upcoming 100 years, with temperature increasing by 2, 4, or even 6 degrees, we estimate that the effects of global warming on the environment will far exceed anything we have seen previously.
The same soybean plant, grown in different temperature conditions, shows startling differences.
正常的温度，然后暖化3度，暖化6度。
At National Taiwan University, researchers look to see how the warming affects not only the growth of the soybean plant, but also the weeds and the insects that make up its surrounding ecosystem. Although the plant grows faster in higher temperatures, unfortunately, so do insects that eat it.
这两个合起来算是我们
Plants and insects play a very important role in the biodiversity of the natural world. By understanding the effects of global warming on them, we can better understand what effects global warming will bring in the future.
5 years ago, Professor Chen Yijing spent 2 months in Malaysia's Kinabalu, where she replicated a 1965 study on the local moth population. What she found was that the moths have already moved their habitat 67 meters higher than previously recorded in 1965.
They won't be able to move upwards forever, as one day they will reach the peak, actually around 3,300 meters. The vegetation cover is already very sparse, and the biodiversity there is very low. So at these altitudes, the moths will discover that they can't find the food they need.
In order to survive, these moths have slowly migrated to cooler areas, either higher elevation or higher latitude. Their migration is also faster than previously thought.
This trend is uniform but plays out in different ways among species. We see species that are reshuffling the cards that were dealt to them. For example, 2 species might have coexisted, but one will leave and the other will stay and may be joined by a new species. So relationships as a result of changes in the environment are also changing.
Are there other environmental factors that are beneficial to the growth of various plants or crops? Maybe the temperature is suitable, but the soil is not. Or maybe the flora is not suitable for the insects to live on.
But global warming isn't necessarily bad for most insects, as increases in temperature accelerate the growth process from larva to adult, thus shortening the time needed to produce the next generation. This, of course, is why insects are much more numerous in the summer.
Global warming will affect worldwide grain production, not just by perhaps making the environment inhospitable to that particular breed, but by increasing the damage to the crops by insects.
Taking the oriental fruit fly, fluctuation in their numbers depends mainly on temperature. When the temperature is suitable and when other unfavorable factors decrease of rain and humidity, the danger that fruit flies bring to crops and the industry increases drastically.
The oriental fruit fly is a major pest for Taiwan's mango producers. With global warming, the reproductive period of the fly has increased. Since more generations are produced within a shorter span of time, the pests also become immune to pesticides quicker.
The damage to plants and crops is sometimes the result of vector insects that play an indirect role in the destruction of crops, but often results in damage that far outweighs damage to the plant by directly eating it.
Global warming has already started to affect our ecosystems. You can pretend it isn't happening, but changes are already in the making.
Humans do not live in isolation, but share a place in the fragile ecosystem. The question is, if humans can see the changes happening and take the appropriate steps to save our future and the future of this earth.
This year marks the 100th birthday of the Ali-San Forest Railway. A century ago, the train was first established for logging, but later began carrying passengers. And today, it has become one of the most popular tourist attractions and an important cultural heritage site in Taiwan. In our feature report on the island sunset industries, we meet Ong Xin-Zhao, who began driving the train when he was just 24. His father and grandfather both worked for the Forest Railway, with his grandfather starting in the Japanese colonial period. As for Ong Xin-Zhao, he had been riding the train home with his father, who was also a driver since junior high school. In 1912, the Ali-San Forest Railway began operation. This year, the railway is celebrating its 100th birthday.
This is to add petrol, this is to move forward and backward. This, we call it a turning point. When you switch it on, the vehicle will start moving. This is a brake, that is it.
Traveling at a speed of 15 to 18 kilometers per hour, passengers on the train are able to capture the scenery along the way.
The scenery is beautiful. We are able to see the view of these mountains.
We can easily enjoy this magnificent view, so I'm really grateful to all those who built this train.
57-year-old Ong Xin-Zhao has spent most of his life as a driver for the forest train.
I'm happy to be able to travel in and out of the forest so freely. It is my passion and interest. I've met many railway fans. I'm also a member of Taiwan Railway Association.
His grandfather Ong Shou-Xin worked for the Ali-San Railway in the Japanese colonial period, and his father Ong Chun-Chuan was also a train driver.
This photo was from some 50 to 60 years ago. This is my father. He was standing outside to get some air and check out the road condition.
When he was in junior high school, Ong Xin-Zhao always took the train home from school as it was being driven by his father.
In my father's time, when he was driving the train, he would put a towel around his neck to wipe away the sweat, and he also had a big bottle of water with him. Slowly he drove. He worked so hard to keep our family going.
At 24, Ong took on the family baton and became the third generation in his family to join the Ali-San Forest Railway. Today, most of the 13 train drivers are actually Ong's students.
I'm grateful to our teacher for passing on his skills. I'm also quite interested and passionate about this job. I think safety is most important to make sure passengers get to and back here safely.
For the past 30 years, Ong Xin-Zhao had seen passengers come and go.
Some are saying goodbye to their guests and others are leaving here. There are people who shed tears, some hug each other. We have all sorts of passengers here.
Ong Xin-Zhao still keeps a photo of the first steam locomotive from a century ago. Speaking of the past, the driver has many stories to tell, starting from the operator cabin.
This is where we put the coal in. There's a big shovel here, and next to it is a small one. This train was full of the smell of coal, and it was quite heated because the temperature was high.
Though diesel trains eventually replaced the steam trains in the 50s, to Ong Xin-Zhao, the old days are his fondest memories.
When you smell the coal, it feels like we are back to the old days. I've always longed for those old days when life was really simple. I'm feeling nostalgic now.
While others are happy driving million-dollar cars, Ong Xin-zhao says he's happy to be paid to drive a train that is worth more than 10 million and also getting to enjoy the beautiful scenery along the way. Taiwan's media volunteers come from all walks of life. What they share in common, however, is a deep satisfaction that arises from their work. For media volunteer Fan Lu Zhao and Ye Chaoqing, being a media volunteer has given them a close look into the human condition and the tragedies and joys that life brings. They see that job as not only to record these moving events for others to see, but also to purify their hearts as they do so.
In 2007, a train bound for Hualien was involved in a car accident near the town of Congde. Although the accident occurred at 1 in the morning, Hualien Tzu Chi volunteers were immediately at the disaster site to help. Among them was media volunteer Fan Lu Zhao.
The master says just do it, no one complained. Everyone was just focused on the misery of the victims.
Fan Lu Zhao, originally an investor in Taiwan's cable TV, never thought that he would one day drop all that to return to his hometown. As a media volunteer, Fan puts his heart and soul into his work.
听说你以前会边拍边哭啊，边擦眼泪。
When you see such scenes of devastation, who could see it all without being saddened? Before, this was paradise on earth, but in just a night's time, a mudslide changed everything.
For Fan Lu Zhao and countless other media volunteers, they came to the journalism field with little to no experience.
我觉得在精进的过程里面。
These are all instruction manuals. I use them to better understand how to use the camera. Slowly reading these, along with getting out there and tips from DaAi cameraman, putting all these together, I have been able to learn quite quickly.
As a full-time volunteer, Ye Chaoqing has been reborn. Before he was stationed in China for work and was often away from his family. Now, he and his son can often be seen side by side at various city events.
I love the work of filming these events and also the interactions I have. It is immensely satisfying since you are so connected to the event. The little details really stand out.
This group of volunteer reporters are recording the preciousness of Tzu Chi's social work for all to see. In doing so, they bring more people onto the Bodhisattva path and also changing themselves for the better.
We go to Canada's Toronto at the end of our show and join Tzu Chi volunteers and Tzu Chings who came together and organized a workshop from the 22nd to the 26th of August. In the 4-day event, participants not only learned about filial piety and etiquette in life, but also Tzu Chi's philosophy of gratitude, respect, and love. We'll leave you with these images. Thank you for tuning in. Goodbye.